All right, we are live. Let me get this tweeted out for everybody. Give me 1 second here. Do, 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 do. All right, and we are live. 2 seconds here. 1 second. Let's get this going here. This, this, this. Hold on 1 second. This. Okay. Ooh, time flies, I tell you. Okay, there. Good. All right. We did it. Greetings, fellow traders. I hope everybody had a great trading day today. So, here we are, Thursday, October 3rd, 2019, and today we are going to conclude our discussion on crucial candles. So I'm actually really looking forward to this one. This is my favorite aspect of it because it's the most important, right? So before we get started, everybody take a moment here to review the disclaimer here. Okay, everything we're going to talk about today is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. Okay, if you're watching the recording here, please press pause. You can read through it too. Okay. So let's take a look. Let's see where we're at in the market. All right, so today we're up 23 points, right? We had a big down day yesterday, and we're up today 23 points. We'll see. Futures are down right now, about 5.25. We'll see if that continues and that holds through the evening. Either way, still a very big day today. Lots of lower shadows here. Oh, did I say the word shadows? That's what we're going to be talking about today. It's going to be great. Okay, so we have lower shadows here. Okay, so red month so far. Okay, weekly chart. Let's take a look. Ooh, there it is. All right, weekly chart is really bearish here, guys, right? Well, I mean, in general, right? We had a red week 2 weeks ago, another red week, then another red week this week. So we are below the mid-Bollinger Band, right? So if all the bulls are saying, hey, let's go, right? We bought the dip today, let's go, right? It's got to get over the mid-Bollinger Band on the weekly, right? It's got to do it. Okay, daily chart. Okay, yeah, nice lower tail right here, lower shadow, lower shadow. Okay, what do we do on the way down here, right? We filled this opening gap right here. We left a closing gap on it, we gap below it. So that's kind of a little bit of a gap above, sort of, right? Then we had this other gap right here, which we filled, right, yesterday, right? And then we had a closing gap right here, which we filled yesterday too. And so basically found some buying pressure here. So we had a lower shadow here as well. Let's take a look at the geometric chart. Okay, so this is actually, always interesting, right? So what did we say last time? We said we were, the stochastic is in the oversold area. Last time I did the pitchfork median line, we got a bounce, right? Yesterday we said the stochastic was in the oversold area, and we were at the pitchfork median line, and we got a bounce. So if we get any follow through is the question. Now there's an open gap above, right? So that makes it very interesting, right? We have a closing gap below too, even here, right, from back in the June timeframe. So see if we hold that, right? Or if we can get back in this congestion zone right here, fill this gap, and maybe work our way back up to the top of the channel. But look what happened last time we were here. It held it a couple times. Even here, right, we kind of broke down through it, came back to it. So we'll see how this is kind of acting, right, as we approach the potential for going to new all-time highs. So we'll see. We'll see if there's any opportunity for that in the near future. Okay, let's take a look at the price action today. All right, and this will kind of start to lead us into a little bit what we're going to talk about today, as usual, right? So here's the price action. Here's the levels that we use. Okay, so this is all of our subscribers. They get these levels before the market open, right? Very key levels here. So you could see we were flat this morning, right? We kind of chopped around a little bit between this volumetric level and yesterday's close. These are very important levels, right? So we chopped around a little bit right there. Look at that. We had upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow. Oh, does that mean something? I think it does, right? And then we flushed, okay? And we came back down, right? Lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow, right? And then we can start to work our way back up, right, to these levels. We had the S1, the S3, prior day's low. Try to get up there, up, upper shadow, down, right? Lower shadow, up, right? So you can see what's happening here, right? So, and then, of course, we worked ourselves up and we kind of chopped around here and kind of finished the day. But this is really key, okay? When we're reading price and we're reading candles, right, one of the most important things for us to do is look at the shadows. Okay, so basically all I'm going to talk about today is real quick review here, right? We went through the hammer. Okay, so a couple of things I really want to talk about here is as we go through this review here, right? We talk about the hammer. What is the key thing about the hammer? Big lower shadow. Okay, what is the key thing about the shooting star? Okay, big upper shadow. Okay, what is the key thing about the spinning top? two shadows, right? Big upper shadow, big lower shadow, okay? And what was the key thing about the doji? It's one big shadow, right? So that's why yesterday this doji was so important for like reversals or continuation moves, right? Because the shadow is just 100% shadow, right? And so with a little bit of a line in between, just open and close. And so, right, there's so much indecision there, especially if it's an inside bar. This way, when it breaks, a lot of times we see a little bit more of a powerful move, right? So today we're going to talk about the shadows and how important they are. Okay, so let's kind of go back in. Let's dig in a little bit more here. All right, so really the key is, right, if we know anything about candles, whether you know the term, whether it's a hammer or a hanging man or a spinning top or whatever the case is, really the reality is that price, right, likes to test levels, right, likes to test levels. It likes to discover, right, it likes to break out, right, and it likes to test levels. And while it's testing levels, as we're analyzing price, if you have an opportunity, if you're able to look at the chart all day, right? Let me just make sure everything's coming through okay. Yep. And you'd like to look at the chart all day, right? Or if you're able to, right? You start to observe this, right? And how important it is, right? At these levels, right? So these shadows, right? The upper wick and the bottom wick, whatever you want to call it, we call them shadows, right? The upper shadow, lower shadow, right? So these really tell us so much information about how price is behaving around those areas. What's happening here is that someone or something is trying to buy this thing up, right? And it is failing, right? So it is buying up here, and then that price keeps getting pushed down. It keeps getting sold, right? It keeps getting pushed down, right? So every time, the more we see a shadow at a certain level, the more we need to be concerned. And that's exactly what happened today, right? So even though we kept pushing up, as we got to this key level right here, we kept seeing upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, and ultimately we flushed. Okay, that was some sort of news, ISM or IMS, whatever the case is, right? So less than expected, and flushed the market. But either way, right, we're still looking at this, right? Are we getting bullish here? Not really, not until we can see a bar with the candle going away, right, or with the shadow going away, and that is really key. Right? The smaller the shadow, the better, or if it can completely be eliminated, the more bullish, right? Especially as it pushes through levels, okay? So one thing I want to point out here, so we had lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow, right? So what happened here on the way up? How can we catch this? I mean, you can try a couple different techniques, right? You look at different time frames, right? We have an inside bar up right here, right? But when we're looking at price action, it's tough to get comfortable in a move here until we can see a really good confirming bar. And a lot of times, it could be a doji, it could be an inside bar break, right? But here, even if you got in this inside bar, right, it was still into an upper shadow right here. We got to look in the past. Where were the shadows in the past, right? And so here, the shadow was right before it, right? So it's tough to get above that. It's tough to convince oneself to be like, hey, I want to, I want to buy here, right? It's an inside bar, but why would I want to buy into a big shadow like that, right? When there's all that selling, when I know there's all this selling pressure right here, right? So it's tough. So say you did, right? And if you're trading options, it is tough. I mean, you can scalp a little bit here, but it's like, but for an option move, we want to catch this, right? We want to catch, this, right? If we can, all right? And so here's kind of key, right? So, and you always have to think how price is acting around these levels and how it's testing it, right? Really start to observe it and think about it, right? It's really key. So here, this breakout, this inside bar up was good, but look at that, it put another upper shadow here. There's still selling pressure here. And then this bar right here, are there any shadows on this bar? No. This is called a Marubozu bar, right? That means it was straight from the top to the bottom. There is no shadow at all. Okay, it's a very, very powerful bar. And so what do you think this bar wanted to do after this? Right? This bar wanted to test the level below, right? It said, I'm not ready to test this level. I want to come back and explore this area, right? And so it does that, right? So you had this bar right here, and then ultimately it pushed back down. And what happened here? We had another upper shadow. It said, no, I don't want to be up here, right? So until it could test these levels, right? So it finally got to these levels, and then what did it do? Lower shadow, right? And then what did it do again? Another lower shadow, okay? And then it gave you a big bullish bar, right? The bigger the bar, right, the more indicative of its direction, right? And so here, it was one more quick one, right, to see if we could get over these shadows. Now, the question is, what do we do after that, right? So sometimes when levels are congested, it's worth not even trading, right? So, in cases like this, right, we did push above this level, but all it did was discover the next level above. All it said is, I'm done down here, I want to check the next level. And it did, it got here. And then it said, I want to check this next level. So how do we know, right, when it's enough, right? And so the shadows tell us, right? They really do. And so a lot of times the things that we like to do is look for key levels, right? And if there's space between those key levels, see those levels we offer, to everybody here. So you can see right here, this bar was extremely bearish, right? I mean, it was a huge bar, right? But does that mean you go all in short, you YOLO short? No, not necessarily, right? So, right, what did this do? This gave us a lower shadow right here. It's kind of meh, right? It's not, it discovered these, it's at these levels right now, and then here we had the lower shadow, right? So you get really, really caught in stuff like that, right? So what's the indicator? Now, if this looked like this, if this looked like this, then yeah, time to go short, okay? Because it's showing that it wants lower, right? So it's big bar that pushes these levels, it's going to want to test this level. But at this point, that shadow right there tells us that just be a little bit worried about it. It's a lot of observation, it's a lot of analysis, but it's really, really important. So real quick before we go to questions and chart requests, I want to show you Shop today. Okay, Shop is very interesting today. So Shop is fun to trade, right? So you gotta be absolutely right on it, right? And so a couple key indicators that that showed us that is ready to go up. Could have bought on this candle right here. Okay, could have bought on this candle right here, but it would have been tough. Right, it would have been tough because it chopped a little bit. So let me show you why maybe this was not necessarily the best one. Let me load the. I'm going to load a study set here with some levels on it. So let me try this. Okay, so now hold on. Let me see. Edit studies. Let me remove. Give me one sec. This one, this one, this one. I'm going to keep that on. This one. Okay, so now I've got lots of key levels. I'll take the RSI off too, okay, so we could all see. All right, so now we see the levels, okay? All right, so now we have to ask ourselves what's going on here, right? So this is where it all happens, right? So this bar, it was extremely bullish, right? But what was above it? A level, okay? So an important level. So great, right? But do we want to go long here? Does it make sense? Look how big this bar is, right? It is big, right? But even if we went long there with a stop below it, we would have gotten stopped out right here, right? Maybe if we gave it like 10% on options or something. But even still, this chop in here is really nasty. But look at how much energy it was building, right? When it was at Laguerre's method, talks about the longer that we chop, right, the more energy is being built, right? Expansion comes from contraction, right? And so this bar right here, very, very bullish. But why would we not want to trade this? Because look at the distance relative to the bar, how close we are to this level. Okay, so this was not the time to trade, even though it was a very bullish bar. Okay, so what happened? Price is like, no, I don't feel like going there right now, right? I don't feel like it. Let me go back and test these levels for a little bit. I want to test this all day. 15 orb level and then this other level. I'm going to test this forever. Okay? So a lot of times, folks, stop looking. Right? They go to a different chart. What else is going on in the market and all that stuff. When you see this start to happen on a big stock like Shop, right? That is, what is it doing on the daily time frame? Right? It's getting ready. It's also chopping in here. Okay, it stopped breaking down, right? Look at the daily chart. Lower shadow, lower shadow. Oh, got out of the trend line. Lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow. Right? It's not going down. Right? Remember this one. See the lower shadow on that? Not much right there. Look what happened after it came down. Right? Also a couple of key levels, some open gaps, and all that stuff. That's on the daily. Right? So it's fractal. Right? We can look at this on all different time frames. Okay, so what was the key long? I mean, yeah, you could be long in here. You could try over here and all that stuff. Maybe you could have tried here, even though you had like some resistance here, right? You could have tried and then you could chop around. Then, oh yeah, I won, right? Or you could avoid all this mess and then start to see when this thing starts to break out, and then be patient. We wait for confirmation, right? So here we get above this, right? We have this hammer right here. Oh, it's getting close. It's over these levels, right? But is it going to get above this level? Okay. The answer is yes, it is. Right, so here's your big bar right here, small upper shadow, right? Go along here, right? Even if you got caught in this upper shadow right here, how unsafe is that really, right? Yeah, it's a topping tail, but what are you gonna do? It's gonna come back down to this level, right? So what else is above it? There's no other levels above it. There's clear air. Right? Look at all that space between this level. That's why we take it. Here, risk reward, not good. Here, risk reward, excellent. Okay? You never got all the way up there, but it certainly got pretty far. So even here, an entrance at 319, right? As ugly as this was, I mean, here that's up to 324, a 5-point move off of that. I call that pretty good. And look at this candle right here. Did that really want to go lower? Not really, right? So we just hold on a little bit longer, maybe catch an extra point about, or just take it right here, right? Take the the 5 points on that, right? Excellent move right there from here to here. You don't have to catch, we look back at the end of the day and we're like, oh, I could have got in down here. I could have caught the bottom hammer and I'd have been rich. And catching the bottom and catching the top is very, very challenging, right? It's a futile effort, right? Like, unless there's a clear indicator, right? Or a clear indication that it's done, right? That we could try it. But And there are reversal strategies, right? Like using our trend line techniques, things like that. You can use all that intraday too, right? Here's your high to your low. Here's your trend line. Here's your minor pivot. Here's your bullish close above it. You could enter off of this candle, right? There was increased volume. You just have to deal with the chop. It's okay. But when we take the levels into account, right? Especially with options, we don't want to get stopped out on this stuff, right? This is the trade from here to here, okay? That's the trade right there. It's beautiful. You can try to hold a little bit or just keep a stop right here, but you get stopped out right there. But once you get this, that's 5 points on a trade. That's a great day, right? That is a great day. So that just shows you how important these shadows are and how important it is when price tests level. So anyway, good stuff. I hope you guys found that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those into the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can before 10:30 ideally, so we can all get good at sleep and enjoy a Friday. Remember, tomorrow is Friday, which means that it's option expiration day, which means it's also fun because we can play some, some Friday lows, weekly expiration day. So one of the things to consider though is to consider trading next week's options if you're someone who likes to buy and hold a little bit, so you don't get stuck getting assigned. Now, if you're a Robinhood holder, obviously, I think it does it automatically. But there is a lot of fun to be had on Friday if you can trade tomorrow's expirations. You just have to be very, very careful and very, very specific in the trades. Okay, good stuff. All right, guys. So good. Well, I hope everybody's doing well. Edwin, what's happening? Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. There's nothing, I don't know about you guys, there's nothing better than waking up and like looking at stocks and learning about stocks and stuff. That's fun. Harvey, what's happening, man? Good to see you. Low and Zoom? Yeah, let's take a look. Let's go check it out. So low. How low can it go? Let's see. So it's trying. It has just been very, very challenging, right? So, again, here's our trend line right here. First minor pivot was here. First close below it bearishly was like kind of here, but really at that point it wanted to close there. So it's just been one of those rough. It's like McDonald's on the way up, right? So bearish close yesterday. So I do think there's a chance that it starts to work on this gap. It might even test the cloud here, but it was okay for a quick down move today. So we'll see how it is. A little bit of a bottom tail here, right? Lower shadow, right? That's from some prior support. So if it breaks on there, tail fails, I like to call it, right? Or shadow break, possibly down to the cloud. Good. Let's take a look at Zoom. All right, yeah. So lots of this is great, guys. Especially if you guys follow us in our private group, right? This is the stuff that we love to look at, right? So we love and we talk about it here, of course, so everybody can learn. But we love these trend lines, right? And Zoom finally gave us a nice minor pivot above that, right? So what we want to see here, what did it give us, right? It gave us an upper shadow. So what do we want to see? We want to see a bullish close with no upper shadow or minimal upper shadow with increased volume, and then we can look to swing Zoom. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. Wendy, what's happening? Hello, hello. I was talking about you on the closing live stream. I was like, oh, Wendy's sleeping. It was like, what is it, like 3:50 or something like that in the morning there. So I was like, Wendy's sleeping. So, but yeah, at least you get to check out the morning ones. So that's good. Sarah, good evening. How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Edwin, it's crazy moves today. Fake bounce or not? Right. Exactly. So Netflix, please. Yeah. So I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see exactly what it is. It's hard to really say like, hey, this is like we're heading up to all-time highs right here, right? It's I mean, to put in a lower shadow, I mean, it's got a lot of levels that it can test. I mean, if anything, maybe the gap fill is next, right? It could come back and test that. It could chop around. There's so many situations that could happen right here. The main thing we know is that volatility is up, right? So Right, and the ranges are getting really big, right? So we haven't seen a really compressed range in a while. So, it's starting to be some really big moves, right? So it's important to have like all the right setups so we can catch those, right? Yeah, let's take a look at Netflix. So Netflix, guys, is also interesting. I talked about Shop today because I really liked how it behaved intraday today. But we can take a look at Netflix too. It's very, very interesting, right? It's having trouble breaking down here. Right, it had a big down move. Right? And look how it's chopping right here. What is it doing? It's gaining energy. Now, last time it was gaining energy, it was still down until it got to the trend line. So here, this trend line will continue and possibly till earnings. right? So if we stretch that over here, so we could see a bit of a chop here all the way through here, and then we'll see how it handles earnings, right? But what we're seeing right now, again, is lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow. Today is the first day in a while that didn't have it relative to the lower shadow, really have a big upper shadow at all. So kind of like a little hammer right here, right? Northern doji, like we were talking about, northern spinning top. Okay, so it held up pretty well and increased volume. So we'll see. Eventually, it might try to take a test, but again, this trend line here is major resistance, and of course we got the cloud above. So so definitely something to keep an eye on there. Micro trader, what's happening? Not even a bounce from yesterday's sell. I know. Yeah, I know. Exactly. K-Man MC, what's happening? Yeah, let's take a look. So we just looked at Netflix, so let's take a look at Tesla. So guys, Tesla, I don't know, I think we talked about it the last couple nights. I did not take the straddle on Tesla yesterday. The 242.5s were $11, right? We gapped down about $10, but that first initial push down, guys, that got that straddle up to like $17 for a nice 6-point move just on the straddle, right? It's pretty predictable, right, that it's going to move. The question is whether it was value. To me, it wasn't a good enough price. I didn't like $11. I might have considered 10, low 10s, but I wanted to be kind of 8, 9, right? And just because I know it'll do a 10 point, I'm relatively certain it'll do a 10-point move. And this time, it did the 10-point, and then it was afterward where that's kind of that little bit of risk right there, but gave a little bit more. So that's Tesla. So at this point, guys, we do have a nice lower shadow, right, that held some other lower shadows. And so with increased volume, so it had some good buying pressure today. So this is going to be very, very important tomorrow. In fact, it's worth putting an alert on here. Their numbers were actually pretty good. They just weren't as good as was leaked yesterday. So I think this is good enough to go on the game plan tomorrow to look at long. So let's take a look there. So I'll put that on that for tomorrow. Nice one. So let's see, Tesla long. Okay, we'll clear that off there. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, it'll also be a 30 order for tomorrow. Look at the anchors in a little bit. And that's what we got so far. Good. Nice. So that's Tesla. Let's take a look at Lulu. Okay, I'm pretty sure Lulu is not ready yet. Yep, still under the downward trend line right here, but lower shadow, lower shadow, lower shadow. So we'll see how it does as it approaches this, and then we'll look for a minor pivot and then a breakout. So we'll look for that. It's Willio. Yep, Twilio is getting ready. It's not quite ready. With this minor pivot right here, right, and then a little lower shadow right here. So it needs to close bullishly above those with volume. So if this closed at the highs today, then yeah, this would have been a very good swing candidate. But right now, it's not quite ready. Okay. SPY. Yeah, again, very, very similar to SPX, right? Obviously, we have this low right here, so it does kind of create a minor pivot here today. If it does close bullishly above it tomorrow, we might see a little bit of a move over the weekend, a little pop, maybe some good news to try to get to this trend line here to try to get back to that 293 level. But it's got a little resistance right there. Twitter. Okay, Twitter. So we're nice lower shadow right here at the nice hammer, right? So as it is, basically approaching this downward trend line right here. So basically just got to see how it, just wait a couple days, see how it handles that trend line. All right. Amazon, similar. Amazon had a good day today, relatively. I guess. But it is not ready yet. So here is the, here's the trend line. Here to here to here. Okay, so it's still below the trend line. Okay, so we'll see how that behaves in a couple days. I do like the increase in volume that it's trying to get there. It's just not quite ready yet. UVXY. Okay, upper shadow. Okay, but it is trying to break out over this line. So this is actually very important. I appreciate this because if it does close bullishly over this, right, it might actually be a good, kind of hedge type swing as it's over this thin cloud right here. So that's worth looking at too to see how it closes tomorrow. Okay. Good stuff. My pleasure. Thomas, what's happening? I know Okta, that was on our game plan the other day, guys. This is something I'm going to talk about this weekend, but in the newsletter. But one of the key things here is with this minor pivot right here, and sometimes we have these little crouching tigers, right? These jack-in-the-box type moves. And so, you have this nice breakout of this minor pivot right here, very, very good. And sometimes, we wait for that close above this minor pivot here to get long. But when it does this, right, it's very, very bullish, and it's tough to jump in here. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just just saying it's tough. Had a huge move today, right? 12-point move on Okta, right? Reclaimed over 50% of its last major down day, right? Or almost 50% of the range. But anyway, it all came off of this inside day, right? After this trend line break. So this is one we're going to start to look for a little bit more, because I have seen this setup work enough where it's like, okay, we need to trade that, right? And so we'll definitely keep an eye on it, okay? Yeah, but it's looking very, very strong. So Facebook's doing pretty good here. In fact, Facebook is strong enough where, right, it also made a minor pivot breakout. I would actually be okay saying like a nice little inside day, right, to do the exact same thing and try to work up to the cloud on that. So it looks like it's trying right here. Snap. Yep. So Snap, right? So wow, with the snap back. So some of our group, we had a little swing on this, or a little swing idea on this, that kind of came all the way up to our target here at about 18, right? So that was a nice little trade, right? And guess what? That was resistance right there. And what happened? What came right back down off it, which is great, right? It filled its earnings gap already, right? Well, it's left a couple of gaps above, but this is fantastic, right? This is such a great potential thing to watch, right? And so now, honestly, everybody was so bullish on it. It was tough for me to get bearish on it, but because it's lower shadow right here, lower shadow right here, lower shadow. I mean, maybe yesterday was an opportunity to get short, right? But everything looked like an opportunity to get short yesterday. But this one did get some follow through on it. So see how it goes. It looks weak. I think they're downgrading a little bit more. So we'll see. It's basically back at support right here. So I would like to see some consolidation, like Roku's doing, as it gets to the downward trend line, and then look for breakout above that for a potential swing on that. So good. Let's take a look at pins. Yeah, I really like pins, guys. So now, granted, a little upper shadow right here, but I do like the increased volume. We close over the pivots right there. So I think has a good shot to get up to the trend line right here. So that's looking pretty good too. Sai, what's happening? Do you trade 5 o'clock shadow? Thank you. Sometimes depends how busy I am. Heather, good evening. Amazon. Just got on, so sorry if you went over this. Thanks. Okay, Heather. Yeah, absolutely. So Amazon is right. It's still underneath the trend line right here, right? So increased volume. It's trying to get up there, right? There is some bigger kind of cumulative volume happening right here. But let's see if it can get over this trend line, right? Give us a minor pivot and then a possible breakout on it, right? Okay. MTN VR, what's happening? Roku, yeah, breakout. It's starting to. It's poking its head out. Right, so this is great. I love this one. If you guys saw my Twitter tweet on it, right, it was just like this and like, oh, right, like that beautiful sunset and all that stuff. It shows like hope in this stock, right? It just got pummeled, right, as it kind of filled its its earnings gap, right, and came into major congestion zone. And today is the first day it broke out of this downward trend line, right? And this is what I was hoping for. I was actually hoping a little bit lower, but nice close, nice move here, right? So one thing we'll look for is one, possibly an inside day, or two, possibly a bullish close with increased volume above this, right, for a potential swing on that. So it could be interesting on that. Sean, what's happening? ATVI? Yeah, so Activision, look at that. I think we had like a swing short idea on this recently, and there was a kind of a jack in the box right there, and this kind of snapped to the downside. So it gave its first minor pivot here over this downward trend line. So we'll look for a bullish close above that over the next couple days or so. See if it can give us any help. Sai, yeah, I'll take a look at XBI. Cool. I haven't looked at this. I think this is the last time we talked about this is when we were talking about those cycles. So, right. I'm actually going to remove this. Okay. It is neat though. I like how the cycle did come at that low end. The cycle bracket. So we have here, here, here. Yeah. So XBI is looking pretty good. Nice minor pivot there as well. I'd like to see some a close over that with some increased volume. In fact, that is good enough to add to the lot of fun list. There. Okay. Pretty sure everything we talk about gets out of there. I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, same thing. Okay, good. Yeah, so that's looking pretty good. And then Twilio, I think we talked about that. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was mentioned a little bit earlier. But yeah, so looking bullish, just not closing over any of these upper shadows, right? So as soon as it does that and increased volume, then we'll look for a potential swing on that for sure. AM bids, what's happening? Cost in Amazon, yeah. So cost, right? So Costco had earnings tonight, right? So let's take a look. Okay, so it had a big push up today, right? Looking good, got over the lower trend line, downward trend line, and then minor pivot right here, and then big flush right there. Right, I think they had a little miss on earnings, but I imagine their guidance is okay, right? I mean, just opening stores in China and all that stuff. So it's basically, other than the push up there, it's pretty flat, right? So very, very interesting stuff. So we'll see how it opens tomorrow. It's basically going to be a 15 orb for us tomorrow. So, but guys, if it like could kind of chop around and give a little reversal and a bullish close over that, that's worth swinging, right? It could be good. So we'll keep an eye on that. So Amazon again, we just looked at that, still down below that lower trend line. So we'll have to just kind of keep an eye out for it. So good. Jay, what's happening? Good to see you. Hello, hello. Scott, Pan W. Palo Alto. Yeah, it's gonna need a little bit of time, right? So maybe a couple days if we can, maybe a week or so. Right? It's got to close bullishly. It's got to create a minor pivot and then close bullishly above that with some volume, right? And anyway, I just thought it was interesting, right? There's kind of a bit of an upward trend line right here, right? So making it look like a triangle, right? Yeah. All right, let's keep an eye on it. A little bit low slope though, okay? So not very exciting. Justin, what's happening? Hey, good to see you. Experience and thoughts, what's up? Good evening. Yeah. We won't talk about shop. I did point it out though. I showed the entry on it, right? And that was also confirmation over a go bar too. And then the 15 earlier too is good too. Anyway, Edwin, what indicator do you use for the red line on shop? Where? Oh, that's just those are the pivot levels, right? That we use. So it's a script that we have in the group. It's but I think there's comparable levels like built into Thinkorswim. You could try like let's see, trend studies, support and resistance, and then if you go to like SVE pivots is really, really close. So you could look at that as well. So good levels with that. But it's just that we did a video a while ago on these levels, right? And we talked about the calculations and stuff like that. So we just calculated manually for it. We just use the floor pivots, right? If I could find the old video on that, give me 1 second. I'll post it in here. And I go through everything, right? And there's like descriptions. All the formulas are in. Yeah, here we go. This should be it. Give me 1 second. Let me just double check this. Let me see before I post it. Make sure it wasn't one of our private ones. Yeah, this is all the formulas in it. Check this out. I'm going to post it in here. Okay, so check that one out. It's got links to like Investopedia of how to calculate it, and we calculate those, right? And then we have a script in there that does it. So very good, very good, very good. Robin, what's going on? Just got here. I'll listen in the morning. Can't believe I missed it. Oh, it's cool. And then, of course, we go live and all that stuff. So Facebook and SPY. Yeah, let's take a look at Facebook. I think we glanced at it. But, Facebook here. Right? Big move over this downward trend line. Right? And it's a little sloppy with the daily trend lines that we use. Nice move right there. I'd like to see a bullish close over that. Right? Or even an inside day. Could be interesting. Right? And then SPY, of course. Right? So SPY. So just like everything, right? So we got a big gap above now. So we'll see if we get close to that, right? And big lower shadow too. So it's very, very interesting. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they chop it around. But we do have like big job numbers tomorrow. So that in the morning before the open, right? So if they're bad, just like right, all those gains today, right, could be pretty nasty, right? And guess what? Tomorrow too, what we have at 2 o'clock. Mr. Powell, he's going to be talking at like something today. If you guys are ever wondering, and want to find out how to, see what's going on in the market, right? Just go here to Market Watch in Thinkorswim and hit Calendar. Okay? And then you can default like the economic events, right? However you want to do it. So here, so today, or I have it on tomorrow, right, for October 4th. So we have big employment numbers tomorrow. And if you want to get more details on it, right, you just kind of click on this employment situation, or it tells you about it. The most closely watched of all economic indicators. It's a set of monthly market indicators, et cetera, right? And it tells you all the numbers, right, the expected numbers. So previous, expected, right? So when those numbers come out, you can be like, oh, I knew that, right? A couple other stuff going, but look who's talking tomorrow afternoon, Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell's talking. So he's going to be talking. He's going to give opening remarks at the Fed listens perspective on maximum employment and price stability. So yeah, but 2 o'clock. But either way, the market might react to it. So something very, very interesting to look at. So good. Experience and thoughts. Hey, how did you apply the orbits in the studies? So that's our 15 orb script, right? And we have the 30 orb script, and so they're all in the member drive, right? Those scripts are in there. So you can DM me later, and I'll show you where they are. So, okay. Bose, what's going on? First time watching everybody. CI, please. Well, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's a great group, and you pop in any night, any market night you want to, right? It's always fun to check out, see what we're doing. So Signo is great, guys. So this is a very, very potential swing recently that one of our members came up with. It was back down here. That gave a huge move up to the cloud, right? And then now it's just kind of working its way back down out of it. So now we'll see how it does, right? So the insurance the insurance sector had a little bit of a run there when everything was weak, and now they're kind of weak when everything's kind of starting to get strong. But let's take a look right here. Where's the recent lows about right there? So there's your kind of minor pivot. So we need to really see a close over this level right here, bullish with some volume. But again, there's a lot of resistance above now, so it's kind of tough. It couldn't get through it here. So that's the hard part, right? So definitely worth watching. I mean, if it stays bearish, right? I mean, where could it go? It's got, a couple of key major support here and here, this 141. So if it continues to break down, right, we can, we can see where other support levels are. And there's one right here too. So lots of support here at this kind of 145 level. Okay, good. Manesh, what's happening? Let's take a look. See what we got. Yeah, Microsoft. Absolutely. Okay, so let's see. Microsoft is here. All right, so here's the major channel that Microsoft has been dealing with. It is starting to break down out of this, right? We had a big gap down here, big volume and all that stuff, and it seems to have held up here. We got lower shadows, lower shadows, lower shadows, all that stuff, right? And very, very thin cloud. So ideally, it could work to try to fill this gap above. That's kind of like the next major target on it. So definitely something to look at. And Sai, you want to check out Foxa? Sure. Let's take a look. So Foxa. Wow. Big trend down here, right? So this is the macro trend line, right? So ultimately, it's trending down, right? Had a nice hammer day with some volume. Just be very, very careful, right, to see how it behaves at this trend line, okay? Lots of resistance there. Then it's got the cloud above too. So might be shortable, right, if you can find some short setups in this area, right? So there's always a possibility of that. Good, Edwin. Roku and NVIDIA. Yeah, thank you for mentioning Roku. Again, I think somebody mentioned it. If not, I dream about it. Yeah, that was it. So it was like, oh, right? So there's your downward trend line right there, right? There's your minor pivot, right? So we'll see if we can close bullishly over that one of these days soon. Now, if it does get weak and it puts in a lower low, right, we'll just shift the trend line down, and that'll be even better, right? Because I kind of wanted to get down here like into the 80s so we could try to swing it back up to like the 130s, which would be so cool. But we'll see. Okay, NVIDIA. Very strong data on NVIDIA. Okay, I'm going to do a brief article on this in this weekend's newsletter for newsletter subscribers, and to talk about how this happened. Right, this huge candle today, right? But the good news is that we could look at for swing type trades, right? Is we have our downward trend line right here, and we closed above it today. So we'll see if we can get a bullish close above it. If we do, this is going to be one of the ones that I'm going to look at for a potential long that had a huge move today and was really, really good. Hold on one sec. Okay, see how that looks. Okay, and then weak. Not yet. Yeah, I haven't seen anything too bearish today. Good. So Wendy, try to stay up till 1:30 a.m. Wow, that was late, but that was it. But good for you. Can I take a look at NVTA? Yes, not NVDA, NVTA. Yep. So there's still that downward trend line. We're just waiting on it, right? Nice move today, but just kind of working its way to it. See how it handles it. But I do have an alert on it because it's nice. And I should have it down here too. NVTA. Okay. And then Starbucks. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so Starbucks, we're waiting to buy the drip here. It's at some major support right here. This is the last, like a previous like gap level. I think it had like a some sort of upgrade or something like that. So anyway, I think these are 15 orb levels from prior. It is finding some support in this area. It had an open gap here that it filled, but it's got an open gap above too. So again, it continues to stay bearish until proven otherwise. But as it approaches these trend lines, we'll look and see if it can get a little bit of action on it. Right? Triple M was looking really bearish a couple days ago, and it did give a final push down to 150. I think that's about as good as could be expected off of it, right? So, and then it gave kind of a bottom tail today. So we'll see if that, what happens there. At this point, we'll give it a couple more days, just kind of keep an eye on it. Okay, GPN. Global payments. Ooh, this is looking pretty good. Sort of, except for that upper shadow here and here. So there's the trend line. It's kind of what we got right now, right? It's down until trend is down until proven otherwise, right? As it approaches this trend line right here. So, guys, give me 1 second. I have a few emails that came through, or just one email that came through here for Shirley. Let me just put that in here real quick so I don't forget. APRN, CDNA, ENDP, GPRE, and GOVT. Okay, so this is from Shirley. Let's put that in there before I forget. Okay, good. AM bids, what's going on? How to make sense of trend line and how do you draw one? So definitely check out the 3-minute trend line video. Okay, but I can do a quick review here real quick, possibly in less than 3 minutes. So definitely check out this. I'm going to put the link in there. Okay. Oh no, I lost you guys.
Greetings, fellow traders. Bubble.
Lost you guys for a second there. Sorry. Hope you guys can still hear me. I accidentally clicked the link and it was like, oh, where did everybody go? All right, good. Yeah, so let's try to make sense of it. Okay, so trend lines are not what you think, right? In general. All right, trend lines, you don't just look at something that are like, some people say you have to intersect like 3 lines, and if it intersects 3 or whatever the case is, right? So that doesn't really help us trade, right? All it's doing is making things look pretty. If you go like this, and you're like, okay, oh, that, look at that, look at all this, look at that, everything is like pretty, right? And all that stuff. It doesn't help us trade, right? So what we want to do is we want to see breakdowns of levels and reversals, right? What is a trend line? Right, a trend line is saying what's the trend, right? And the trend is your friend, right? So trade in the direction of the trend, right? That's the idea, right? It's the whole concept of trading, right? That everybody talks about, right? That's kind of the big thing. So one of the things we like to do, right, is use trend lines to tell, right, whether or not a trend is over, right? And that can give us big moves, right? Big reversal moves. It's kind of like catching a bottom, right? But not exactly, right? So what we do is we take, we start the trend line at the high, right, or a reasonable high, right? We go to a low. Right, and then we can connect them until it's only intersecting the highest one. Now sometimes it will be perfect like this is, like with those 3, right? And then we look for a pivot, or minor pivot, and after that trend line, right? And so we could see here, right, it kind of was doing minor pivot. We weren't seeing any bullish closes over it, right? With volume, right? So we had decreased volume right here, and we came down. So what this did is this formed a minor pivot, right? So I wish I could draw like a wish I had like a curved drawing tool on this thing, right? But it would be cool one day to kind of have this go to like a drawing monitor, so I could really just draw on here. But here's your minor pivot right here, so we're waiting for a bullish close over that, right? And so right here was actually a pretty decent volume day that closed above that, and you can see from there it got a really nice move up, right? And so now we're kind of tracking to the downside. Now maybe this is a better reasonable trend line here. That's what we call a bump and run. And so if that's the case, right, Wendy, right, we have this minor pivot right here, but again, we have a lot of resistance above. We have the bigger trend line right there. So it tells you what is going on with trend. So right now, from all we can tell is that the macro trend is down. And so if we find a short setup that really makes sense for us using other techniques like intraday, right, we can look to short that during the day, right, if it makes sense. Just like Starbucks, right? So like Starbucks, a couple days ago, like 3 days ago, basically came up, or I would say 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago, came right here at the trend line, right? And so what we could do is, I'll just pull up the hourly right here just to save everybody's eyes. But we go, here, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 days, right? As we get to this upper trend line, right? What we do is we look for setups that make sense for us to short, right? And so off the hour is a little bit challenging right here. We did have obviously a very bearish move off of this one. Then we had a Mariposa bar right here. So you could trade this one for a good 76 cents on either one, right? So breakdown out of the cloud on the 60-minute chart. There's all sorts of techniques that we could use intraday, but we want to know what direction the macro trend is going, right? So we can look to trade that, and we could also look to swing it too. So on pullbacks to it, right? We talked about CGC in the newsletter the other day, things like that. So just really good stuff to look at. So but definitely check out that 3-minute video I linked in there, and watch it over and over again until you get it, right? Because it's very easy, but it's tricky, right? So all that stuff. Okay. Oh, Wendy, get a little bit more. Okay, so let's see. So we got work and. Didn't even look at this. Very bullish today. Increased volume, closed over its minor pivot. The only problem is, right, it's got to get over this trend line right here. But I like how it's approaching it, so I think it is worth at least looking at, right? So we can kind of keep that on the radar a little bit. So that looks good. And then CRWD. Yep, nice move here. Nice. This is the first one. This is the first minor pivot right here. So we look for a bullish close over that, right? So maybe an inside day on it could be a possibility too. So, okay. DomSD, what's going on? SPWR, or sorry, SPWR? Sorry, Sun Power. Okay, good. So this didn't bounce off of this trend line. This was the prior downward trend line. Okay, AM? All right, so I'm going to show you how to draw one fresh right here, right? So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to draw a fresh trend line right here. So we have high to low, okay? And then you want to find anything before that that it intersects, that, right? And so that would actually be here. Okay, it just happens to be that guy. So that is the closest one. So it made a very, very tight minor pivot today, right here. So we'll look for a bullish close over that too. So SPWR is actually looking pretty interesting. We'll keep that on the list too. Does this thing have options? Kind of, sort of. Yeah, kind of, sort of. We can look at it. Sun to the cloud, right? So good. And then CGC, we just mentioned that. So CGC is a great example, right? We talked about this, a week or so ago. Let me see if I can draw this. Okay, so this channel is actually a trend line here, but I just stretched the trend line down. All it does is project it down, right? So it was high to low, right? And then it intersected these lines. So you can see what happens when we get to this trend line, right? The trend is still down, right? When we got to this trend line right here, look at that. Perfect short day, right? And there were opportunities on that too. And then it also made a good swing, okay? So, so good opportunities for that. And you can even look at that too, for here to here, look for another trend line. Here's your minor pivot, bearish close below that with some volume, and then it is a good swing down. So right now we're kind of in the middle of the range, right? Kind of bullish right here, kind of working back up to the trend line. Okay. Session, Xilinx, XLNX. Yep. So it's kind of working its way around, right? So it's basically just chopping a little bit. So the trend is generally down, but let's see how it behaves when it gets back to the trend line. Facebook. Yep, we looked at this a little bit earlier. Nice minor pivot right there, so we can get a bullish close above it for a possible swing up the cloud or an inside day. Goldman Sachs. Yeah, Goldman Sachs got crushed, guys. It was really tough because I wanted to short this one on this candle so bad, right? Increased volume, bearish, and all that stuff. But then it would have been a couple days of chop, but man, it would have been worth it when you see, look at that gap fill right there. Oh, right to support, right? Just so you guys know, right? If it, if we, we're like, okay, let's see, I'm going to swing it to support right here. If we did, honestly, if I didn't see this cloud, right, I would have potentially considered that. So just say the 195s, right? Even this week's 195s from 924. So if we look at .gs 191004 puts the 195s from 924, just so you guys can see it. That's how we like to trade. So 924, right, was got a little bit bearish that day. Right? It was a nice bearish close, right? You got to be patient with it. 50 cents today, right, hit all the way $2.40. So a nice 5x trade. Very, very interesting, right? Very, very tough to manage, right? Especially with all that chop. But goodness, that really took a beating today. So and the last couple weeks. But it was challenging, right? This is big bars like this are tough to swing off of. The red one's a little bit easier, usually. GLD. Okay. Yep. Starting to look interesting. Just hard. It's just not getting a bullish close, right? It was upper shadows, right? And then Zoom, right? Yeah, we looked at Zoom a little bit earlier. This thing is getting ready. A lot of stuff is getting ready. We just need confirmation, right? So yeah, so looking good. Stacy, good evening. I hope you're doing well. Awesome work this week. Moo Cow of America, what's happening? BA. Moo cow of America. Yeah, good. Right, still downtrending right here. Right, nice day today. So let's see how it handles that downward trend line. But again, the trend is now down. So just be careful with that. And then Apple. Macro upward trend line here held it today. Okay, very very key stuff. So important for Apple right here to hold all this. Okay, really really complex. I'm having trouble messing with Apple here. Jimmy, what's happening? JD, hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, nice on JD. Yeah, nice minor pivot here. We'll look for a potential bullish close, possible pop through the cloud, and MRK. Little Merc is struggling a little bit here. There's your fresh trend line. Okay, right at the cloud makes it tough, but it is trending down. Something to think about. Good. Okay, got that right there. Oh, AM. Yeah, so Avia, A-V-Y-A, or Via, or whatever it is. However they pronounce Aviva. Or just Avaya, that's right. Okay, so Avaya Holdings. Let's take a look here. So it did get beat up recently. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We've studied this before. I've got fib arcs on it. Very, very cool. All right, let's see. So we have this here to the low. So there's your trend line right there. AM. High, low, next pivot doesn't intersect. Or, next minor high. That doesn't intersect any others. Okay? So we're approaching that. It's getting interesting. And then Costco. Below 284, good to short? Depends. Depends what time frame, right? Intraday. I mean, right now, right, the level 2, last level 2 is saying 284. Okay, so where are we at 284? Okay, we're basically at today's. I mean, we're right here. No, you know what I mean. If you're swinging it, no, I mean it's basically gapping up to like today's support, and right back to the trend line. So if anything, it might be good for a reversal, right? So we just have to see how the price action is tomorrow. And a lot of times we use that 15 orb, that opening range bar, to determine. Okay. Yep. Oh yeah, Scott. Yep, definitely good. Good volume for sure. Needs to close above it though with good volume. That was just the first breakout move right there. Size CLF. Cool. Cliffs. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so this was a good day to swing right here. See that? Minor pivot, bullish close with volume up, right? Now it's going back down. Here, here. Nice, huge volume today. I love when you see volume like this, bigger than earnings. It's really incredible, right? Okta did that today. So I like that minor pivot right there. It needs to close bullishly above it, but just watch out. You have some cloud resistance right next to it. So just be careful with that. Scott, you got more. Okay. Oh, Neo. What is it, like $1? Minor pivot today. Be my guest. IQ. You just want to send me all the fake companies? Is that what we're doing today? All right, let's see. This to this. Not ready yet. Huya. I mean, high to low. Definitely not ready. Never ready. Okay, Shirley. APRN. Yeah, dude. Huya, wouldn't even touch that thing. All right, so APRN, Blue Apron. Wow, that one really dropped a lot, hasn't it? Here, right here, kind of minor pivot-y. Be careful with this one, Shirley. This one's not. I mean, it's good, but it's not. I mean, it's tricky, Shirley. So here, maybe has a shot at the cloud. Tough to trade in the cloud, but it has a shot at it. CDNA. Low to here. Macro trend is down. Micro trend is kind of, sort of. Wow, this is really complex. Okay, kind of bump and runish right here. Lots of resistance right here. Be careful with CDNA, Shirley. ENDP. All right, big macro downtrend. Minor uptrend. try to break down here. Okay, starting to work its way up. Yeah, somewhat bullish today, but keep in mind the volume here wasn't as big as the volume here. So just be careful of that one, Shirley. So lots of ones to be cautious on here. GPRE. Lots of consolidation here. I wouldn't mess with this. Well, I mean, it could be, right? This is kind of cup and handle-ish right here. So you have this, right? You got your cup, right? You got your handle. So you got to get over this level right here, right? For that type of pattern. Right? That's kind of, you want to close bullishly above that, right? So, but in general, it's looking, you know, okay. Right? So just, let's see if we can close bullishly over that. I like that it's out of the cloud finally, so that's good. Whew. Tough ones tonight. GOVT. Treasury. There. Yeah, a little bump and run. Right, so just be careful. But again, yeah, generally bullish. Upper shadowed though. Careful with that. So yeah, a couple cautious ones there. Curtis, what's going on? Amazon? Let's take a look. Yep, again, right, still below this lower channel, right? So it might take a day. See how it behaves tomorrow. But again, generally the trend is down right now. Okay. Sai, do I buy Starbucks on the dip or on the drip? You buy the drip. Oh, Sai. Experience, BEP. Wow. Experience thoughts, you have found the most bullish chart in the market. Incredible stuff. Right? Trending up nicely. Little bump, but, you know, looking good. Bullish until proven otherwise. Kara? Kara? Not Katra. Kara. Oh, this is a good one. Low. Oh, close, but maybe no cigarish. Let's give it a little bit. Maybe it'll drop down a little bit and see. But it's starting to look very, very interesting. Pose Ulta. Yeah, this is a great swing idea from the other day. Right here, this entry. Right, see where this minor pivot right here, bullish close above it. Nice move up. That was like a enormously awesome trade. Now it's consolidating a bit right there. And then love. Let's take a look. Yep. High, low, there. It's got some work to do. Give it some time. Experience thoughts. Amazon. I'm gonna skip over that because we've done it like 5 times. CSCO. Right. Actually, it was shortable this day. Gave a pretty good move right there. It's trying to hold some support levels right here. This is a prior gap and go level. So let's see how it holds that level. ACB. Yep, bullish close here. Needs another close above it for sure. Good. Demonstrate, yeah, ALGN. Yep. This is what I thought Ulta was going to do. Just kind of chop around for a while. Ulta's a little bit, I guess, like higher game. But right now, it's from low to high right here. Here's your minor pivot. So it needs to close bullishly above this. Maybe it'll do it when it gets to the cloud. Right? It needs some volume. And it might wait till earnings to kind of change things around a little bit. But yeah, absolutely. Jimmy, thanks for doing. Yeah, I hope you have a great day on Friday too, man. Experience thought, sorry for the long list. And then GWPH, big volume. Yeah, lots of big volumes on different things today. But yeah, big volume today. Nice close over this minor pivot, but again, the risk reward really isn't there because you're just heading up to the run line, right? This 117. So let's see how it does there. See if we can swing it up to maybe 130, 135 if it can close above it. So good thoughts. Wow, good stuff. Wow, guys, it is 10:30. Great questions tonight. Great chart requests. Awesome discussion. Scott, why do you? It's cool, man. I get it. Minor pivot, yeah, it's only the trend line right here, right? So get kind of bullish. It didn't break down. That's the one thing it is. So it's holding this downward trend line right now for a potential bounce. Bose, have a good night. Thank you so much. Experience thoughts. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate your chart requests. And thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your support. tomorrow's Friday again. Remember, option expiration day, so be careful with that. So consider next week's options. If you're new here, definitely click subscribe on YouTube, right? So you can get notified when we go live every market night. And also check out the links in the description. And no problem, my pleasure. Check the links in the description. They're all really good. And Wendy, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And remember your risk first or morning and day. Remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon.